Phone's unmuted. Alrighty. Hey, how we doing, everybody? Welcome back to the Florida's #1 hockey podcast, the Cats and Bolts. Where you been? 3, 2, and 1.
Uno. Thank you, Ben Castro, the New York version of Ben Castro, the producer to the stars. Welcome to Florida's favorite hockey show, everybody. Florida's most watched hockey show and winner of Florida's fastest growing podcast, the Cats and Bolts Show. I'm Rod. She's Sarina. We're one game into the Battle of Florida. We're talking Stanley Cup playoffs. And you know how we always love to have our live guests here on Cats and Bolts? We got a very special one today. Ross Zoot. Ross the Boss. From Zach Smack Podcast. Guess what? He's tired of Sarina talking shit. Aren't we all? And he wants to call her on it. He just gave me the thumbs up. I was like putting a little gusto on that. You ready to talk with Ross?
Yes, Ross the Boss. I love that nickname.
Okay,
Actually,
he said it's not original, but listen. So here's the thing. Joshua Dorr is checked in and says, "What's going on?" And Josh says, "Where's Ross?" He's on the couch.
We got people ready for this.
Yeah, they're already ready to roll. He's on the
it.
couch drinking coffee, getting worked up and ready to go. And Ben Cobbs has written in and says, thanks for coming out last week, Rod. I went to the adaptive hockey practice. There were 4 FAU Owls there, too. Ben says this will be fun today. So we're going to talk all Stanley Cup playoffs. Let's go. I'll just tell you we're brought to you by Beach House Pompano, Beresco, and Spreads.com. The Panthers whipped the Tampa Bay Lightning 6-2 last night in Game 1. We're going to be bringing on Ross in about 15 minutes' time, just so you know. It's a disappointing game at Amalie Arena, not for Panthers fans, Sarina, but certainly for Tampa fans.
Well, I think it even goes back to last year when we were there. It was not pleasant for Tampa fans. They play pretty well at home. There's a lot of energy in that rink. But, I mean, Florida came out ready in that game. And if Florida... Any two teams, in my opinion, in the playoffs, if one comes out completely ready, it can shut down the other team. So I think what happened last night was Florida was ready, and Tampa just couldn't get anything going in that regard.
Well, it surprised me. And I know that you thought Tampa would win. You voted for them to win. And because I respect your hockey...
What the fuck are you talking about? No, I didn't.
The game. You voted for Tampa to win Game 1 in our Instagram poll. Did you not think Tampa was going to win last night? I went off your advice.
Oh my God, I just clicked.
Did you, sir? No, listen, I'm not going to throw you under the bus.
I just literally voted to vote. I didn't even know what I clicked on.
Is that how we got Trump into office? Is everybody like that?
I'm just trying to boost our podcast here.
Okay.
I was like, vote. I just voted.
It's fine. I would have
I
probably would have said Tampa would have won anyways because Florida hasn't played together as a group in 2 months. Since Kachchuck played.
Yeah.
You know what? I thought they would come out slow. Nope. But I will say this about Tampa Bay. You said the atmosphere, that rink, Montreal's #1. I'm not necessarily going to say Tampa's #2, but the pregame video, the kids skating out on the ice, they just play. What's the album by AC/DC, Back in Black?
The
big one?
Yeah.
They just played that on a loop. Yeah, they just play it on a loop in that rink for the pregame. Place is going insane. And when the kid came out, 10-year-old minor hockey player, or Florida youth hockey player, as you guys say it, does a toe pick as soon as he steps on the ice.
Oh, poor guy.
Jumps right back up and goes to center ice. And they're playing Thunder. He's the only kid on the ice, and he's raising his stick like this in the center circle. I got a tear in my eye. And I don't even love the Lightning. It was just so great. But then 3:44 in, the Panthers score. And we're going to talk with with Ross from Zach Smack Podcast about the goal by Sam Bennett. Was it lucky? Was it not? Doesn't matter. Panthers were ready to go and never let their foot off the gas.
That's the way it's got to be. Look at Winnipeg in their first 2 games. I mean, Winnipeg was unbelievable. Vegas was good in their first game, and then last night was sketchy.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same kind of atmosphere. It was Game 2 in Vegas, but kind of touching on how important Game 2s are because the Panthers Lightning series started so late. Started after there's games that have already series that have already played 2 games, and that second game is going to be huge because if the Panthers can win the second game heading back to Florida, that's obviously a huge advantage for them. If Tampa can win, they've got the momentum coming in, as we always say. But look at Dallas. last year. I think it was Vancouver. They lost the first 2 games.
Yeah, none of it means these.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, right? You have to win 4 out of 7. But it'll be an interesting game 2 in Tampa, that's for sure, because we're not going to see the same Lightning we did the other night.
Well, you wouldn't think, and will we see the same Vasilevsky? But, folks, I do provide an avalanche of Panthers and Lightning coverage at rodpeterson.com and the South Florida Tribune, and I talked about this late start to the series. A lot of fans around the NHL are saying, oh my God, other series have 2 games in before the Battle of Florida starts. All it did was give us more days to hype it. It was great for this podcast, and now here we go. But let's just go through the game for a second. 1-0 Sam Bennett scores 3:44 in on a tip, and then Gensel with a beautiful goal at the other end with your boy Kachchuck in the penalty box, which people were writing me about Kachuk's penalty that he took. He went on to have 2 goals and an assist, so he's fine. And then from there, the Panthers just took off with the game. The Lightning fans left the arena stunned, like in shock. And you've seen the look on their face because we saw it there last year a couple of times. What do you expect in game 2? Because you know Florida's going to come out pounding again.
They will. I think John Cooper is too smart to not change something. It's like, I think there's all that kind of stuff that we see. It's like Tampa was not the way Tampa played. Just like last year in the first round. We're like, what is wrong with Tampa? Like, they're not that bad. It was just really slow. But Florida came out hot. If a team comes out hot like that, it's pretty tough to beat them no matter how hard you play. So I don't know maybe this is rude, but I don't know why any Tampa fans would be stunned. They shouldn't be. It's like, what did you expect to happen? Florida came out hot.
Yeah. They filled the barn. They're used to winning, which reminds me, you watch enough Lightning games. I apologize. I'm not sure the name of the host of the broadcast, the older guy with the white hair and glasses that's on with Dave Andrechuk. Whatever that host guy's name is. We know Dave Randorf is the play-by-play guy, and Brian Engblom does the color. But the host, he was the one doing the video, the hype video that Espo did last year. It was the broadcaster. And he goes, everybody in that dressing room knows the Lightning know how to get it done. Now it's time to remind a few people. And then that's why they were stunned. They thought they were going to be the Lightning that they expected. To get your ass kicked 6-2 at home in game 1, and you're surprised they're stunned? I was stunned because it looked like the series last year.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, this is my backhanded way of giving the Panthers credit. So let's take it. But seriously, a good Panthers team, like, what did you expect? You know, they get
I expected
a
a slower start from them.
From Florida?
Panthers.
Well, that's because history would indicate they don't play the first 50 minutes of a game, right? So I understand that, but you can't take that for granted. This is the friggin' playoffs. And just because some guy with gray hair did some stupid hype video, it doesn't mean that your team's going to win. No. Right? They buy into it. It's great. It gets the crowd hyped up and whatever. But you think Paul Maurice or Barkov gives a shit about that? I've never seen Barkov show any excitement. Russians don't let that shit faze them, right? So even Vasilevsky, I mean, it's...
Well, that's another one. I don't know if you saw the clip of Biznasty from Spit and Chicklets talking about the series and how torn he is and how a long series it's going to be, and he's flipped from Florida to Tampa. But he said, what a goaltending matchup, which it should be. Like, it kind of annoys me a little bit, and Ross will probably have some thoughts on this. I'm starting to understand why the fans here are upset because nobody does pay attention to this state. Like Biznasty's saying, we all talk about Hellebuck and Binnington in the Winnipeg-St. Louis series. What about the 2 Russians in Florida? I'm like, we've been talking about that for years. Years. You're just figuring that out now? And then Vasilevsky craps the bed. Sarina, I had a college football player, I'll tell you afterwards who, called me this afternoon, and he's like, you can't blame Vasilevsky on 2 of those goals. I said, to quote you, bitch, you've never had pads on. What are you telling me what Vasilevsky can be blamed for or not? 5 goals on 11 shots? They were all bad.
It was not exactly the same, but when we went over to Tampa last year and watched that blowout, you couldn't get Vasilevsky out of the net. They finally just didn't put him back in the
just
third.
Like that.
Right? And it's like everybody's going to have an off day. If for the Lightning, if Vasilevsky has his off day in the first game, great. Get it out of the way. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes when you get your tits lit like that, you come out a completely different team and a completely different person like Vasilevsky.
He won't be that bad again. Certainly not Thursday, I don't think.
It just happens. Just happens.
Yep.
There's no need to be alarmed. But like for anybody to say this is going to be a long series, I've seen sweeps that are 1-goal games. It doesn't matter how long it is to indicate on how good of a series it is.
Yeah.
I've literally seen sweeps be 1-goal games.
6-2, 6-5, like your Oilers, or 1-0. They all mean the same. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
So I do have to say this. Matthew Kachchuck, my new Facebook friend. Not a big deal. Just saying he accepted my request.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Wait, you know what?
You're on the Florida hockey scene when Matthew Kachchuck accepts your friend request.
That's about the last thing I thought you were going to say. I'm like, what?
What did you think I was going to say?
I don't know. You're like my newest Facebook friend, Matthew Kachchuck. I'm like, what? This is not what I was
Feels
expecting.
good. And so he took the bad penalty early in the first, and the Lightning scored on the power play, and then he locked it. He came out and scored 2 goals and an assist after that. I'll say this about Kachchuck, and I love the quote from Paul Maurice on the weekend when asked about Kachchuck, basically that he's not as big a jerk as people think from the outside. Paul's like, well, when I coached in Winnipeg and he's in Calgary, I didn't like him. He's just being honest, right? But when he's on your team, you feel differently. I would have Matthew Kachchuck on my team all day. Would you?
No. I will never get past the fact he was a Calgary Flame. Once a Flame, you're always
silly.
a Flame. That's ridiculous. I've never liked any single player that's ever played for the Calgary Flames, including the ones that moved on to the Dallas Stars, which is just as bad. No, I couldn't do it. I'd have Brady Kachuk on my team every day of the week. Couldn't do it.
That's totally fine, but I believe when you allow personal bias to affect decisions like that, I'm sorry, but your team would lose.
No, but I hate him I hate the Flames.
But it's a personal
that
thing.
much.
It's not a professional thing. If he had played for any other team, you'd have him on your team.
I don't know. Maybe. I would take Marchand on my team any day of the week.
Would you?
Yeah. People were just talking shit about him here. I'm like, you guys, and all of a sudden he comes here and everybody's got the fucking jerseys. Well, I think, it's kind of, I don't want to say similar styles, but they're not too far off from each other.
Zach has just checked in from Calgary. You're showing up at a good time because Ross, the boss, Zoot, is about to join us right on the set to whatever the hell we're going to call this. Go point. I know it's going fast, huh?
I didn't even realize what time it was because Ben never starts the clock.
But I do. I watch. I'm a professional.
No, I know what time
and
we
I'm
started.
keeping time on my watch. But there are so many. I met Scotty Bowman last night, the GOAT, the greatest hockey coach of all time. I wanted to tell that story, and I also want your take on Dan Bylsma being fired in Seattle, because for whatever reason, everybody's blowing up my phone about, what do you think about Bylsma being fired in Seattle? I'm like, why do you care? He was only there for 5 minutes.
The same reason people are watching somebody talk about the Winnipeg Jets all day today. The same reason there's 1,000 people watching Winnipeg talk something about the Jets. Same reason.
Okay. Well, I'd rather hear from Ross, but here's my thought on Dan Bylsma being fired. The Seattle Kraken are not the Vegas Golden Knights. And from the moment they became a franchise, this was year 4 just completed, they've wanted to be Vegas so bad, but they're not. And they're making all these political statements. The first team to do this, the first team to do that, on the ice, off the ice, on the bench, which is all fine. But at the end of the day, you still need to win. And I didn't even realize this, but they fired Bylsma and announced that Jessica Campbell staying the assistant coach. All that does is tell me that Dan wasn't responsible for hiring her nor firing her. What was Dan Bylsma there for? Right? He's not running anything to do with the team or that bench, and that tells you why the team is shitty. That's my take on Dan Bylsma.
I don't think Dan Bylsma got a fair crack there because I don't think Seattle was garbage. And it just goes to the point that they're just checking boxes over there. They're checking boxes.
You said it more tighter than I could. She boiled it right down. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, it's a conversation we've had on here. It's the conversation we've had with other people where I'm like, listen, you're checking boxes. When a head coach comes in, they usually bring assistant coaches in, right? Because they have that rapport. And so they're checking boxes. And then, like you said, they're wondering why they're not winning. And now they're out making, they're trying to figure this out and they're fine. Who's the escape guy? Dan Bylsma. Who else is going to get let go?
Right.
They're not going to be the first team to fire the first female that they hired. Can you imagine?
Well, there you just nailed it.
Exactly. It's bullshit. For
Winning
the record.
teams don't do this, and look at the Rangers firing Peter Laviolette, and Chris Drury keeps his job. Having saying that, we left the rink and said they should be better than they are, talent-wise, but we don't know what's going on in the room.
The Rangers remind me of the Vancouver Canucks of old. All the talent in the world can't win anything.
Can't get it together. Okay.
Can't win.
Joshua Dorr writes in. He says, bring on Little Ross. Do you know Joshua Dorr? He's called you Little Ross. When you see him, you're like, come on up, Ross.
Yeah, little
Ross, you're not going to call him Little Ross.
Really little. I don't know.
From the Zach Smack podcast. Oh, I've been waiting for this for like 2 weeks. What's going on, bro? Have you met Sarina yet?
I have met Sarina.
What's up, Ross?
Yeah.
The
You
boss.
never met before today. Just before the show.
Yeah.
No, just before today, yeah.
Okay. You are at the end of a long line of people that have a problem with her.
Okay.
Am I?
It's probably like the middle of the pack.
Our producer Ben knows you and said that you wanted to get on the show
Yeah.
and chat hockey with her.
I love talking hockey. It's my favorite subject, for sure. If there
Let
could
her
be a
rip.
degree about hockey, I would do it.
Let her have it.
No, I was actually watching a few of your guys' past podcasts, and I really do agree with a lot of things you guys say. And I think that sometimes it just cracks down to like just like the overall like aspect of hockey, right? Things about hockey can be said one way or another. For example, I think like the Battle of Florida, I think is like the number one like rivalry in the NHL right now.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
It's
100%.
on, baby!
You explain to me who gives a shit about the Battle of Florida.
Well,
tell me.
I know that
in all
you
your
did-
hockey wisdom, you tell
No.
me why this is the biggest rivalry in the National Hockey League when there's teams that have been around for 125 years. You please, in all your wisdom, tell me how this is the biggest rivalry.
I was watching, or no, I'm sorry, I wasn't watching. I was thinking about it today when I was driving over, and I remember I think it was like last week before the playoffs started, you said that the Battle of Ontario is going to be huge. I want to make something clear. I think the playoffs right now are amazing. I think everything right now at the playoffs are amazing. I think the rivalries are great. I just think you think about the hatred towards each other, and like you said before, that the fans in Toronto and Ottawa, they really it is a bitter rivalry. Okay, I just think that you look at like the whole thing with the Panthers and the Lightning. I think that it's like it just boils down to like player versus player hate, and that's what really makes the game better. Like I could think of like going back to when I played, like we had a team that we hated playing, and every time we played, it brought the best out in everybody. Like I think you look at last night, the physicality was so like it was so present. Like everything about the game was amazing, and it shows like even in the shot category how there were so little shots, it was so back and forth. I think that's what makes the game very entertaining, and I think that the Battle of Florida is taken for granted for sure.
Don't disagree with that. And I appreciate you coming in here and going, hey, this is what I don't agree with. Because I do respect
The
that.
kid's smart.
No,
He's got balls.
But with all due respect, you grew up in Florida. You don't have any other knowledge around the entire continent when it comes to hockey. There's bigger rivalries in junior hockey than there is between. There's no love lost between these two teams. Like, Edmonton and Calgary played in the second round like 3 years ago, and literally, like, the two cities cannot even communicate. It's not like that here. It's not. It's just not.
No, the hockey is growing in the state of Florida, and that's me being a Panther. I have bias towards the Panthers. I've been a Panther fan since I was 6 months old. My first game was when I was 6 months old. But I do think that you look at how the teams are now and what builds. Like this rivalry will only get better, and I think right now it's just amazing to watch. I think you look at even like just the Panthers in general are growing. Like you looked at the Stanley Cup final last year, and that was amazing. Everything about it was awesome. And it's just like the physicality and what the Panthers bring, and same thing with the Lightning. They're both big teams with skill, and it's like my favorite thing to watch for sure.
Okay. I need a whistle. I get it now. This show could be so great, and I'll just be the referee. Because I get what he's saying, and as do you. The Flames aren't in the playoffs. So while on August 15th, the Battle of Alberta is still more hatred than this, at least the Lightning and Panthers are playing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As of today.
But-
Because that's kind of what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I mean, like you talk about the history of rivalries, and sure, like you think about like Philly and Boston, think about like even the Rangers and the Flyers, like they're historic rivalries. but are they present right
You're
now?
saying right now, right?
Yeah.
I'm with him on that.
And it's the same thing with like Ottawa. Like Ottawa fans are probably enjoying this. They're loving it that their team's finally in the playoffs, right? But at
Enjoy
the
it
same
now.
time, it's just all everything's so entertaining. But that's my take on it, at least. I mean,
It's good.
I can't disagree. I can't disagree with what you're saying, but it's just not. There's no intensity here. Like there's a reason that nobody outside of the Panthers and the Lightning actually know the teams exist. You could be down here on a vacation, have no idea there was a hockey team here unless you drove by the rink and maybe saw the thing. People just don't know. There's just not this like hate. Like people aren't driving from here. I mean, it's a 3-hour drive. Why isn't half the rink Lightning or Panthers fans last night?
Yeah.
You know, like
If I may, Brent writes in from Wellington, Florida.
Brent from Wellington.
And he says,
Brent.
Battle of Florida continues to gain steam, but there are much larger rivalries in hockey. You're acknowledging that's true, but just not right now.
100%.
And Joshua Dorr says, I can agree with that, Ross. But a couple things. Number one, Tampa is a hockey town. We noticed it last year when we went there, that there's Lightning stuff everywhere. We went for supper with a guy from Tampa last night who said up until Brady won a Super Bowl with the Bucks, the Lightning were the number one team in Tampa for 20 years. They got it down in Tampa. They're good.
They won pretty early, right? Like the Panthers didn't win for 31 years. A
Right.
big difference when you win early. Edmonton, Vegas, all those franchises won early.
Sure, but it's
the
something.
winning culture in sports.
Yeah,
Yeah,
makes
but
a
it's something
difference.
for South Florida to aspire to.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the Heat. And I couldn't say a whole lot for the Dolphins because I don't think they've won a championship in a while. But the Heat were current for a while.
But people love the Dolphins here because they were so successful
Exactly.
30 years ago.
It's
or
the
whatever.
history of the team.
No, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I do agree with that.
I want more fight, you two. Joshua Dorr says Tampa is a hockey town for sure. Bolts are everywhere. South Florida is definitely getting better, but not quite there yet.
Also, the rink is downtown there. That makes a huge difference. There's a vibe down there. Here you got to drive across the Everglades to go to the rink, which is not bad. I get why
And you
the
live
rink's
close
there,
by
but
there, though, right?
It's different.
Well, I live I right now I go to Florida Gulf Coast over in Fort Myers. So I took the hour and a half drive over today. But growing up, I'm from Parkland, Florida, so I'm actually like only 15 minutes from the rink. So yeah, I was always at Panther games. My mom's boyfriend worked for the Panthers for like 15 years, so I've always been at games, stuff like that. But, I mean, I have seen the culture grow for Florida and for the Panthers because I was there when tickets were $6 a piece, and now I can barely afford to go to a game. So it's like you could tell that the way the team's being ran by Vinny Viola and Bill Zito, like they're making this team better. And it's really entertaining to watch, especially if you actually give the Panthers a chance because obviously Tampa's had that winning mentality for a while. So they're
because they
starting,
won, yeah.
Yeah, they're starting to get
Can
that
I ask
now.
you both something? That same college football player I was talking to today said that the Panthers and Lightning players hate each other. And I'm like, I'm not sure that's true. But you go to all the games and you're a hockey guy, which I'm not sure that's true. Who wants to go first?
Go ahead. I don't know.
I would say that that is true. They do hate. I feel like there is a hatred towards each other as a player because you look at like the Four Nations when Brandon Hagel and Matthew Kachchuck battle for to fight the start of the puck, puck drop. I mean, I think that these, especially the guys who have been there forever and being from like a Panther, like a Barkov, or I mean, geez, who else do they have for that long? I mean, Ekblad, stuff like that. They're longtime guys. Have lost to them when they feel like they should have won, and then they've won times when they think maybe Tampa players thought they should have lost. So, I mean, I think that there is specific hatred towards each other, and like even like you could think of like when Kucherov knee on knee Kachchuck's been out for a while, right? And I think last night when he took that penalty, he was going straight for him full speed, and he got the roughing call. But I mean, you think about it, and there's certain aspects of the game that you like. There's somebody you just can't. You hate playing against. And I think that there's parts of that with them.
Number one, Kachuk getting that penalty last night was, in my opinion, it's a message. The league does this. The first few games, the first series, it's like, no, Kachuk, you're back. No. You're not going to run around and do this to start the series. Like, I feel like as officials, they do that, where they kind of put the smackdown on. But like I said to Rod, I think it was last week, I was like, how come nobody retaliated on Kucherov for that? That should have been a retaliation when it happened.
On the knee.
On the knee.
In that
Sorry.
game?
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly how it was, but I think it was such a fast motion like thing, and I know there was a lot of heat for like Buffalo starting out the season with not retaliating against things. And I think at some point that retaliating is a smart thing and a bad thing. Like, I think that in certain aspects of each game, like you need to know when to retaliate. And I think something like that happens so fast, you can't, especially if nobody saw it, right? Like if it was a blatant cross check to the head or like right over the, like just like a mean hit or something, that's like deserves retaliation. I think that's when stuff like that needs to be retaliated. But
you have to retaliate. You have to look at that game.
I'm a retaliator, I promise you. Anybody on my team that ever got anything, I'm going at him.
You look like it.
When Buffalo was here and Gadjevich hit whoever he hit, and then guys that had no business fighting jumped in, and guess what? It's done. But I don't know. Somebody should have went after Kucherov, in my opinion.
I don't think. I always want to compare everything to the '80s, and I shouldn't. But it was just the greatest time. So those Oilers and Flames got up and. Or the Canadians and Nordiques, let's be honest. And they every morning they got up and thought about how they were going to kill each other that day. And I don't see that here. But maybe that'll never happen again. I don't think it will ever happen again. By the way, Kubice has checked in. He says, time to hunt. Great way to start the series. You might want to rewind the show, Dennis. We've been talking about this for half an hour.
Dennis,
the one
you're
thing,
late.
Yeah, it's taken me years, but I finally understand where Sarina's coming from on this. This isn't a hockey market thing. I was thinking about it the other day. I was at LA Fitness in the morning, and I'm like, nobody's talking about this. I finally got it.
After argument and argument and argument, he's like,
Do it again, Sarina.
I don't know why you say this isn't a hockey market, and argue with me about it. And I'm like, bro, I don't know how else to explain it to you. It's not. Well, there's 2 hockey teams here. There's 2 NHL teams, so it is a hockey market.
Well,
I don't know what other explanation you need for this to be a hockey market.
I don't think I sound quite like that, but sometimes I'm a slow learner.
It was... Here, use this. It helps.
Wake
You
up!
want this, Ross?
Yeah. Well, but here's the difference. It doesn't bother me. I'll talk to you.
Because it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So why do you get so wound up about it?
Because you argued with me about, I'm like, it's not a hockey market.
Okay, so you were
like,
right.
Yes, it is.
Congratulations.
But my point is, people here get offended when we say this isn't a hockey market. Yes, it is. No, it's not.
It's ranked.
It's okay. Who cares?
Well, do your buddies, do you get up in the morning where you go? Do you hear talk hockey?
I mean, me and my buddies are Panther fans, so we're always talking Panther hockey, every little thing of anything. I mean, I think that you're right. It's not like a hockey market like you would say like in Toronto. When I went to Toronto one time and I walked down the street and there's 8 people wearing Leaf shirts or whatever.
Least,
It's not something like that, but I think that it's getting up there. Like you look at like how like you guys are growing the sport, right? I don't know how many followers you guys have. But I mean, like,
on this show,
yeah,
9,000.
We looked.
I mean, that's
last week.
9,000 people that probably may or may not have known about Florida hockey prior to this. So I mean, like, things just need to like get going. Like, and I think them winning and being consistent is what's making them going. Because there was like in 2012 was like the first time they made the playoffs in like 8 or 9 years before that. So I mean, like, and I was there for that. But and then it just things need to go the way they're going. And you look at like markets like Toronto, they're big markets, right? Like, I mean. What does Toronto have besides the Blue Jays and the Maple Leafs?
Raptors.
The Argonauts.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. The CFL.
Well, football, yeah. Football, I don't know if that
You're
really
just
counts.
busting your
You're
shit.
good, man. You're good. Well, it's funny.
What do they have?
But I don't. Slow learner here, which you will attest. But Randy Moeller told me a long time ago. He's like, we need more guys like you around here, and I didn't even know what the hell he meant. I didn't know what he meant.
And I don't know if you've probably heard us talk about this, but that is actually the reason we started this podcast. We're here and we're like, you have to go search for information on hockey. And we truthfully felt bad for the people that wanted to know. You can't go crack open the morning paper and see the Panthers on the front page. So we're like, let's create this podcast so that we can, get people maybe more interested other than just reading somebody who wrote an article that doesn't know anything about hockey, but they were assigned to it, right? It's boring.
Because he has to.
And everybody that we've had on here, the Doug McLeans and the Jovos, and they're like, this is great that you guys are doing this. So as much as we screw around and crawl up your ass, whatever, it's like there's a reason that we do this.
No, I mean, that's like kind of the reason why like me and Zach and Kahari started Zach's Max is like, we had the idea of like certain people may not have the certain insight on things like that we may know or like the research we may know. So like us helping just kind of like get the name out there. And same thing with hockey. Like we talk a lot about the Panthers and like hockey in general all over because we just want to make sure that people know that how great the sport is. And I think the Four Nations made it better.
It was amazing.
I feel like it made hockey better.
That's so interesting you say that, because it's funny how many people have come up to me recently and been bitching about the Four Nations because of how many guys got injured. Look at Charlie McAvoy. He's pissed right off. And what did I say? This is going to cause some injury to some players, and it's going to affect teams down the road. And it's not fair. So I don't think it's going to be something they do every year, but I think that what I saw, let's say on social media, there were a lot of people that really don't care about hockey that actually kind of got invested in the Four Nations. They probably stopped watching and they don't care, but it had like so many really good things and then different perspectives about it.
There's things that, there's things you got to sacrifice to do stuff. And I mean, I think that GMs and owners will probably be a little bit more nonchalant on who they allow to go play, because you do look at like how Kachchuck's been out since February, and you look at Charlie McAvoy and look at even Brady Kachchuck. He was out for a while, and like I think even Brad Marchand, he had a shoulder injury, I think, from that, and even he was missing when we traded him. He was injured. So I mean, like, yeah, but as a hockey player, like you want to represent your country, so it's kind of hard to hear no and not want to do it, and especially on how much traction it brought. I mean, I thought it was a great thing.
Well, we're such big, obviously, Canada Cup people.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, why didn't they do this in the summer? Like, kind of like what they used to do. There was a lot of attention to it. I'm not really sure why they decided to do it in the winter, like during the season, but yeah, I don't know. I do agree with you that I think down the road, it's going to be, this guy's not going, this guy's not going. Kelly McCrimmon in Vegas said to me, the best thing for Connor McDavid was to basically get injured right now because he needed the rest. It's damaging to them.
Ben, you want to read the last comment that's coming from Brent?
Sure thing. Yeah, we got it. We just had a lot of comments come through, but yeah, so the one that Brent just said, I'd take Four Nations every year as long as it doesn't turn into a Pro Bowl. Gotta love hockey players.
Yeah,
that's
I
the
agree
thing,
with
and
that.
they will change it.
Yeah.
They will sit the stars, or it will
Agreed.
become a not a physical thing. But back to this series, the Battle of Florida, Game 2 Thursday night. I'll go with you first. You're the guest. What do we expect out of Tampa?
Resiliency. They need to come out swinging. I mean, I think the Panthers came out kind of doing that, and I think that that Vasilevsky, I know we were talking about before, and you were talking about the guy who said like, oh, Vasilevsky didn't do it. I mean, like, none of the goals that Vasilevsky led up were like dribblers or just like crap goals. They were all like strategic, power play goals. I mean, like I thought Kachchuck, his right in front of the net, just jerking him out of his skates. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I didn't know Matthew Kachchuck had hands like that, especially coming off injury. I was like expecting him to be a lot rusty, and I agree that people probably did expect them to come out slower, and they just didn't, and they kind of proved people wrong, and they took a big lead early. So I mean, Tampa just got to come out and just put it all on the line. And I'm not saying they didn't do that, but I mean they got to do it to a little bit more, I think, and play their own game. I think they kind of fell back a little bit with rushes and stuff.
What do you expect in Game 2?
I would say very similar to that. I mean, John Cooper, like I said, he's not going to sit around and go, I wonder what went wrong. At this point, every head coach knows exactly where the train fell off the tracks. And with a goaltender, my whole thing is, and because, I mean, it took one game in Edmonton for everybody to want to murder Stuart Skinner again. They didn't even take one game. People want to kill him. And I'm like, if you don't like the way your goaltender's playing, stop letting the shots get to the net. Simple, right? It seems simple. It's not. It's harder.
No, yeah.
But if your goaltender is getting peppered, it's like, well, what's the problem? Is he not seeing the puck? Are the shots getting onto the net? Are they not blocking? It's different in every situation. So Rod's a goaltender. I always have a soft spot for goaltenders because they're the guy that takes the heat. They're the guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, but the whole team really didn't do anything. But you don't want score more goals than the other team then.
Yeah, you look at like Vegas last night. Aiden Hill, his first game, he was spot on. Everything you could ask for him, he did. And then last night, he led in 4 straight and on a little amount of shots. But you got a breakaway, or I think 2 breakaways, and just tips and just being in front of the net. And I mean, as a player, that's what you want to do. You want to get in front of the net. I think Nate Schmidt's goal, that wasn't going in if Barkov and Reinhart didn't go right past him at the right time. So I mean, as a defenseman, you want to get them out of the way so your goalie could see it. And I think that the Panthers did a good job kind of getting in front of him making sure that they weren't able to see, or Vasilevsky wasn't able to see the pucks come his way. And I think that the Panthers did a good job blocking Tampa out of it because Bob got to see most of his shots.
Exactly. That's why they won. Like I said, they just played a better game.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because was it Biz or somebody said they expected a low-scoring game because of who these goalies were, and I'm like, well, we said that last year. The shots were 22-18. That's not a very high shot game, but there were a lot of goals. There were 8 goals.
It was the lowest the Panthers have had all season. They've had 20 or more shots every single game this year, and they had 16 last night, and Vasilevsky only had 10 saves.
So all that is evidence that the playoffs are a new season. That's all that is, right? Everything changes. Kelly Francis writes in and she says, I listened to your inaugural episode this morning. You talked about the same thing. And she goes, and I thank you for starting this podcast in all caps.
Oh, thanks, Kelly.
She's really cool.
That's awesome. Holy crap, that was
2 years ago. What changed is I used to get caught up in what I thought the people here wanted. But within like 2 or 3 weeks, I was like, no, we're going to talk about what we want and hope people like the same thing that we like. Right?
I mean, yeah, if they want to come watch, they will. It's just, like I said, we crawl up each other's asses just for fun usually. It's like because you're like, we were talking when we kind of brought you on at the start. Listen, if I sat here and agreed with every single thing he said, this would be so boring.
It would be fake as well.
Correct. It'd be terrible.
I think I said that to Ben and to Zach when I was talking. It's like you can't agree with everything that anyone says because then the world would be chaos. If everybody agreed, how would things get done? So I mean, I love it. I like I said, I think what you guys are doing, and I'm glad that woman watched you guys already. I mean. I would watch every episode. So I mean, and I do. So this is a great podcast, and I'm glad people could see it. So
you do a good job, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
When you're driving back tonight, you can just start from episode.
I'm a communications major, so hopefully I could speak decent. So hopefully.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were over there for a baseball game.
Yeah.
That's a great university, man. You got great facilities.
Oh, for FGCU? Oh yeah, it's newer. It's nice. I enjoy my time there. So yeah.
Good for you. How many years do you have left?
I graduate in 2 weeks.
Oh shit! You're almost done. Then what are you
I'm looking for jobs.
You grow up?
I want to work in sports, so work in event operations or all kinds of stuff. So I'm looking for hockey. I work right now. I work for the Fort Myers Mighty Muscles, which is the Minnesota Twins affiliate. So I work with them right now in operations and promotions. So that's what I do right now as an intern. So yeah,
part-time while you're finishing school and stuff.
Yeah, okay. I'm really trying to get out of the baseball aspect. I hate the heat. It's terrible. It's outdoor facility. It's hard. So hopefully I can find a hockey one real quick.
That was nice and cool.
Yeah, nice and cool. And I get to watch a little bit of the game. So that's nice.
Ben, any last word from you, the producer to the stars? It's been fun, hey?
Yeah, I thought this was a real good episode. I think a lot of people will like it, and we got to do some more of these.
Neither one of these sons of bitches back down. I don't think we can declare a winner. They were both stood in there and tossed haymakers.
I agree.
Yeah, but here's the difference. I was like, you tell me, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, here's the deal.
He's very calm
talking
about
to his mom. I'm like, come on, get fired up.
He kind of is.
I had to be on an ice rink to get fired up. I've noticed that. So that's like.
Are you got a mean streak on the ice?
I'm not the nicest dude to play with or to play against either, but
before we go, just tell us a little bit about what you did play hockey growing up and how long and stuff like that. Do you still play?
I played. I started playing when I was 4, so I started skating, and then I started playing competitive at 8 or 9. I played high school down here for my high school. Won a state championship with them. Went to nationals. And then after that, I played some travel, some AA for the Hawks, Palm Beach Hawks at a skate zone. I think it's called now. It's still called Skate Zone.
The rink on the beach.
Yeah, rink on. Oh no, Skate Zone's up in Lake Worth.
Okay.
And then I played a little bit of juniors for them before they folded. Now they're the Typhoon. I just finished up 2 years. I play roller hockey now.
Oh,
I just
where?
play Florida Gulf Coast.
Looking for players?
They always need players. They need a goalie.
For the college or for
college? Yeah, we just
enroll, Rod.
Yeah, Division III roller hockey. Yeah, we just finished. We lost to Colorado.
Mature student, they call us.
Yeah. we just lost to Colorado in the Final Four this past national, so it was awesome.
I want to say congratulations, but
it's the farthest we've gotten in a long time. So
nice.
It was a good season.
You want to read the last two, Ben?
Sure thing.
From the same guy. Well,
oh my God.
You tell me.
You read whatever you want.
Okay, so about baseball, the Panthers winning.
That's JC in Dallas.
Yeah, JC in Dallas about baseball. The Panthers' winning ways has, in my opinion, outgrown the baseball market for Miami all the way up to Orlando, give or take. As long as we keep winning and highlighting our players like at Four Nations, the Panthers market will continue to grow.
And Zachary Gordon. You know
Zach Gordon.
That's Zach.
That's Zach
Zach
Smacks.
Smacks.
You gonna read what he said?
Yo, I love it. He did say Dallas or Avalanche or
Is he asking
McKinnon or
for-
McDavid.
Yeah,
That's just-
McKinnon or
he's
McDavid.
trying to steer the discussion. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah,
I got
he's just-
Dallas in 7.
Oh, Colorado. Yeah.
Hell of a series.
And I don't know what.
And
but
McKinnon or McDavid. She's going to say McKinnon.
She's going to say what?
McDavid or McKinnon. Who would you take as a player?
You just said she's going to say McKinnon.
I said it as a joke to see if you're
Yeah.
paying attention.
No. Oh, I was listening.
It's Connor McJesus. Okay. All right. Anything with last words from you?
No, I mean, we're just shout out to Zach Smacks podcast. You know, we're building it, and hopefully everybody can come in and watch some of our videos and see if you agree with some of the takes that I have or Kahari or Zach has. So
Where do we find it?
it's on YouTube. It's everything. I think Ben, you do a good job with it. It's on YouTube,
Spotify,
Spotify,
and
Apple
Apple.
Music,
Yep.
all that. So we do the videos on YouTube, but everything else is just podcast related.
Good. Well, let's collaborate.
Awesome, yeah.
grow.
I'm excited.
All right, buddy. All right, Benny boy. We'll see you next week. Here on Cats and Bolts.
That was a short one. That was a little short one.
I wasn't looking.
Right to the
It's all right.
TV.
Right to the TV. Where is the song? It's not on anymore.
Well, you're singing it, so.
Thank you guys for watching the Cats and Bolts #1 hockey podcast. We will see you next week.
Do the music again, Ben.
Thank you.